What's going on, fellow A pluses? It's your boy Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new movie review as we're about to get into Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's right, just released this week. Had the opportunity to go ahead and check it out Thursday evening. Really late showing. Got back last night rather late. Was gonna go ahead and sit down and do this review, but I was like, let me just wait until Friday. So it is in fact Friday afternoon. I'm recording this for you guys. As we got to talk about this movie, man, because look, when it comes to Planet of the Apes, I was a really big fan of the most recent trilogy that we wind up getting, Dawn, Rise, and War of the Planet of the Apes. I thought Andy Serkis certainly did his thing, and really great just cinematic entries into the franchise, if you ask me. I really had a great time with all three of those films. And so the idea of returning to this world after such a long time really intrigued me, man. I really wanted to see what a new generation was going to look like, what story they were certainly going to unfold in this one, as this particular film takes place 300 years after War on the Planet of the Apes. If this is new to you, if you guys are not familiar what Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is, the synopsis reads as many years after the reign of Caesar, a young ape goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything he's been taught about the past and make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike. And I think what really drew me in is really just the idea of seeing what the world is now shaped like 300 years later. You've had several generations. What are the teachings of Caesar's? What's the situation with the human sort of thing? So I think a really fresh a fresh new take on the world, with some really great original stories that they can really dive into, and hopefully build off of this. I think I recently read an article stating that they were hoping to make overall 9 films, and with this certainly being the fourth, I will be interested to see if they can even make it to 9, to be quite frank with you guys. But let's go ahead and talk about this particular film. I had a good time with this one. I really enjoyed it. Um, I think this is more than a satisfying addition to the franchise. I think they definitely understood how impactful the recent trilogy certainly was, and probably thought to themselves, like, look, if we're going to make another movie, we got to make one that's just as moving, just as compelling, with really great characters and incredible action. If you ask me, I think Kingdom of the Planet Apes certainly did that. A very worthy entry into this franchise. So should you go see this movie? Absolutely. I think you certainly should. I think you'll walk away really enjoying it. I don't know where I would put it in regards to if I look at them as 4 films. I think for me, Dawn and Rise are certainly still up there. It's been a minute since I've actually watched War of the Planet of the Apes, so I don't know if I would put Kingdom in there. But regardless if Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes comes last in there, make no mistake, I really hold the trilogy to very high regard. I think it's an underrated trilogy, and the fact that I think Kingdom is worthy of being beside those, I definitely do think speaks volumes in regards to this film. Is this film perfect? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. I think for me, where the movie falls off, and I'll talk about the pros here in just a second, where the movie falls off for me a little bit is maybe some glaring holes in the storyline that I probably would have liked to have seen explored just a little bit more of. In the case of the humans, there definitely seems to be like 2 types of humans that kind of evolved. Some that might have survived after all these years and holding on to their humanity, if you will, kind of struggling to survive. And then others that have just very much become like wild animals out in nature. There's a really great scene in here where you get to see zebras grazing alongside humans grazing, and it's just a really fascinating scene to kind of see what humans have sort of certainly turned to. But make no mistake, there are definitely other humans certainly out there, and so I thought it was I would have liked to have seen that explored a little bit more, explained how some of these particular humans might have gotten to the point to where they are today. I definitely would have liked to have seen that explored. Same thing goes with the teachings of Caesar. We have ourselves a character in here by the name of Noah, who is the main character that you can clearly tell hasn't necessarily been taught everything over all those years. And so while he does get the opportunity to meet somebody in here that clearly has the knowledge of Caesar, I really would have liked to have seen them take more time to kind of explore that aspect and really give Noah a full understanding as to who Caesar is, and certainly what Noah is certainly now kind of fighting for, if you will. I mean, look, this feels very much like, if anything, they're going to have themselves a trilogy of films out of this. So there's certainly a lot more that Noah can certainly learn. But I think when you have somebody alongside you in the journey for most, well, for about maybe half of this movie, I would have liked to have seen that time spent a little bit more and truly understanding who Caesar certainly is. This movie comes in at about almost just under 2.5 hours. I don't want to say it feels like an overly long movie, but I don't know why. There's a part of me that's like, could I have gotten like 10, 15 more minutes of this? I really would have liked to have seen the relationship of Noah and Caesar kind of explored a little bit more. So, there are just things that I think, I don't want to say glossed over, but I would have liked to have seen explored a little bit more storyline wise. That I do think that, look, they probably can easily do that in the second or third film. So I don't know if that's my expectations getting ahead of me, or if it was just the storyline not necessarily being fully thought out to completion. So that's probably really my biggest issue that I had with the movie overall. I mean, special effects incredible in here. Acting and performance wise, when you take into consideration the motion capture, right, the dots that these human actors have to certainly wear on their faces, some incredible performances. They have a really great, there's one really great shot in here after the first act, and you see Noah trying to struggle as he wakes up and freshly escaping a fire sort of the next morning. There's a really great shot of him kind of turning into the camera, and you get to see like this pained expression on his face. And the actor that plays Noah is Owen Teague, and I think that he just does a brilliant job in here as Noah, being able to showcase his expressions. You can easily see it in his eyes, what he's feeling, what he's thinking. And this isn't just for the Noah character, but this is pretty much for everybody. I had no idea that the actor Kevin Durand wound up actually playing Proximus Caesar in here. Hell of a performance from him also. And you even had Freya Allen, who plays the human in here, May. And I didn't, she looked super familiar to me, and it didn't even click to me that she was from The Witcher, if I'm not mistaken. I believe she plays, she's in The Witcher, Freya Allen. So I think overall performances were pretty good. If anything, again, the concept and the idea of these actors literally having to go like to ape school, their movements, learn how to walk and act like an ape sort of thing. I mean, the performances are just rather brilliant. And so really big fan of it. Didn't really care so much for the soundtrack. I mean, some rousing moments to certainly say the least, but I think for me, performance, directing was really great in here also. And despite having some issues with the story, in regards to how it was crafted, I really thought this was a pretty genius script. When you come to find out what Proximus Caesar's motives are, what the human May's motives certainly are, it really just kind of goes back to the mentality of Caesar, right? And his mentality of, trying to have humans and apes certainly work together. And when you're 300 years separated from Caesar's time, and you have somebody like Noah, who is, I don't want to say picking up his mantle, but is now kind of inspired by Caesar, it does bring up to question, can humans and apes certainly coexist? And I think this film does show why, on a human aspect, that will certainly be difficult when you clearly have two factions in humans and apes that clearly feel like this world sort of belongs to them. And I think this film does a really great job of setting up what can easily come for a second and third film. But I thought the tension was there. I thought the concepts of who do you believe, and I just think that the idea of how they portray Caesar's teachings in here was just really compelling to me. The idea of twisting somebody's words to kind of fit your own when you're 300 years separated from it. And I just think the way that they portray Caesar in here is very much like that of a messianic character, somebody that's very much Christ-like, that sort of established the rules and the commandments, if you will, for apes. and had his teachings, and how those teachings are passed down, and sometimes how they're certainly not. And when you have those type of messianic characters, how can that message be twisted to fit somebody's sort of personal gain? And then you mix that in there with the addition of humans too. I just found it a very fascinating story, very heartfelt and emotional story, especially when it comes to the apes. And again, the fact that they have made me emotionally connected to apes on a big screen, I think that in and of itself certainly deserves a round of applause. So great work in here in regards to understanding Noah and his family, his motives in regards to what he's doing, the conflict, his opposition. Can he trust? Can he not trust humans? And just the world that he learns about around him as he goes on this journey. So, really well told story with some issues that I certainly had here. Great performance. Didn't care for the soundtrack, but special effects off the charts as always, guys. But look, at the end of the day, these are simply just my A+ opinions. I always want to know yours. Look, if you've had the opportunity to check out Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I want to know your thoughts too, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below. But until then, do me a big favor, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you later. Bye.